The role and responsibility of a for-profit public company can't be just about making money. It has to be about giving back, and it has to be about achieving the balance between profit and social impact.
Schultz grew up broke, living in this public housing project in Brooklyn.
This is the hallway. I walked down at the age of 7 and opened up that door and saw my father on a couch with a cast. There was no hospitalization, no health insurance, no workman's compensation, and we were done as a family.
Witnessing that and all the things that came with it, I wanted to try and build the kind of company that my father never got a chance to work for.
Double short? Awesome. Thank you.
To start, employees are called partners, and all who work 20 hours a week or more receive full benefits. Part of the benefits package, stock options in the company's Beanstalk program.
What that did is that transformed the company.
Starbucks, the global coffee and tea powerhouse, is committed to hiring vets. On top of that, the company has rolled out dozens of military family stores.
And the story is the unbelievable heart, conscience, integrity, leadership skills of the people that we have been fortunate enough to bring into our company.
This is an announcement that just came down from Starbucks here in the United States. What they are doing is they've teamed up with Arizona State University. And if you are a Starbucks employee, you get tuition paid for.
Think of this as a jobs fair on steroids.
The 100,000 Opportunities Initiative is aimed at disadvantaged youth.
Some of the biggest employers in the nation coming together, targeting a segment that's often overlooked.
You just feel like you're talking to a person who wants to hire you.
The quality of Starbucks coffee and the quality of Starbucks people equals our success. And one without the other can't stand on its own. We all have dreams for ourselves, our families, our kids. And I can tell you that for a kid from Brooklyn on the other side of the tracks, my dreams have come true. But I have bigger dreams for Starbucks and for you and for your families. But I can't do it, and no one can do it alone. We have to do it together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Medal of Honor recipient, Master Sergeant Leroy Arthur Petry.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here with all of you this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Atlantic Council for recognizing the inspiring leadership of all of our honorees tonight. I'm humbled to be given this opportunity to introduce a man who has earned my respect and admiration and inspired me. He is a leader, a family man, and a champion for so many. I first met Mr. Schultz probably around 5 years ago. I'd been invited by one of the veterans working at Starbucks to come visit the headquarters and meet some of the veterans. I was only stationed a few minutes south of Seattle. Starbucks had previously a poor reputation amongst some of our troops because of some bad rumors started early in the war, that they did not support the troops. And so I made the trip. I wanted to go there and see for myself and talk with the veterans that were there and hear their perspective. They showed me around the building. I was shocked to see they had a monumental wall in the heart of the building honoring veterans employed and ones that were deployed. I learned of their initial initiatives to support their veterans and the troops deployed. As we continued the tour, they asked if I wanted to meet Mr. Howard Schultz. I said, sure. I thought it would be a quick handshake and maybe a photo, the usual for so many high-profile people I get to meet. But no, he invited me into his office. We sat and we talked a while, and we ended up talking, not only to the veterans, but to all the employees. They all loved working for Mr. Schultz. They all loved the company Starbucks. Shortly thereafter, Starbucks raised the bar, announcing the hiring of thousands of veterans and spouses. A few months later, the Schultz Family Foundation initiated a tremendous support for our troops and care for our veterans. Mr. Schultz, a few months later, started a book to honor our troops and selfless service. It included his father, having served as a medic during World War II, another small group of people who I hold in high regard, no pun intended. But the book released on Veterans Day that year. At the same time, he teamed up with HBO and covered the National Mall, not far from here, with a concert for valor, free for all to attend, to honor the service and to show appreciation for our military and veterans. He has continued to increase Starbucks support through many different venues, supporting transition programs, employment, education, only to name a few. Having witnessed it myself from visiting Starbucks, if most people only knew the amount of care, precision, and effort that go into Starbucks products, they would realize what a bargain they are purchasing. It is not only the quality of their products that Mr. Schultz has influenced, the diversity, the values, the ethics, and the morals, and high standards of its employees, whereas Starbucks calls them partners, giving each of them an invested interest in the success of the company. His support of his Starbucks family and his family's foundation support of so many globally has impacted numerous lives. His impeccable vision of what right should look like and his continued engagement to, like Starbucks, serve so many, is the reason why, like an airborne ranger leads the way, he continues to lead from the front and set the example for others to follow. Mr. Schultz, thank you for your inspiration, commitment, dedication, leadership, compassion, and all the remarkable things you have done and continue to do. We look forward to your continued success and your endeavoring effort to make a difference to humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Howard Schultz.
What a speech that was. Other than my wife, Sherry, and my children who are here tonight, there's no one in the entire world I would have liked to have had the privilege to introduce me tonight. Sergeant Petry represents all that is good about America, about our military, about our values, about our guiding principles, and really the true promise of America. Let me begin by just acknowledging the three other recipients. Obviously, President Bush, he was really funny. He was great tonight. Gloria Estefan and General Scaparrotti. It's an honor for me to share the stage and to receive this award with the three of you tonight. To the Atlantic Council, let me acknowledge with great humility your extraordinary, critically important bipartisan work in an age of polarization. We are living at a very unusual time And I don't think it would be an overstatement, especially this week, to say that the country is facing a real crucible. And I think you can broaden that and kind of ask the rhetorical question about the crucible of leadership. 20 years ago, as a Jewish person, I had the opportunity to go to Poland and visit Auschwitz for the first time. The closest I have gotten before that to any of the death camps was the Holocaust Museum here in Washington, D.C., and the museum in Israel. It was a very cold, gray winter day, and the 2-3 hours that had passed while we were there was a gruesome, gruesome visual understanding of what took place in these camps. And to be honest with you, we were scheduled to stay 4, 5, 6 hours and visit another camp, but I couldn't do it. I just did not have it in me. Somehow, when we were leaving the camp, in the mud and in the sand, I reached into the sand, into the mud, and I somehow found this stone. And this stone has been sitting on my desk for the last 20 years. And I know it's somewhat unorthodox and perhaps a little unexpected to put a stone on the podium. But I want you to think about this stone as something more than a rock. I want you to think about it in terms of Allied forces, the character of America, the valor, the bravery, and what it took to liberate millions of people and to create freedom around the world and to literally save the world from tyranny. I've had that rock on my desk to constantly remind me not only to never forget, but in an age of uncertainty, especially the last couple of years, to remind me of the best of America. Now, it's been 75 years since the end of World War II. And I think many today, unfortunately at home, and many around the world, and I travel a great deal, are questioning the moral leadership of America and the ideals of America and what this rock, not once, but still represents. I want to try and face these issues of moral leadership and our ideals with you tonight through two lenses. One, the personal lens of my life story, and second, through the lens of my company. And I say straight away that my company and what we do at Starbucks is not a proxy for the country or leading the country, but our values and guiding principles, I think, are steeped in American values. From a personal standpoint, you are looking at a person who is living proof of both the promise of America and the American dream. I grew up in public housing in Brooklyn, New York, and if I took all of you there today, the odds of getting from that place to this podium is almost impossible. But it can only happen in America. And it can still only happen in America. My life story and the imprinting I had as a poor kid living on the other side of the tracks presented me with lots of vulnerabilities, and to be honest with you, shame and insecurity of being that poor kid. And with that, I dreamed about perhaps one day building the kind of company that my father, who served in the military and unfortunately came back and did not have access to the things he thought the country would provide him. But the aspiration was to build a different kind of company, a company that would achieve the balance between profit and conscience, a company that would demonstrate that not every decision is an economic one, a company that would demonstrate success is best when it's shared, and do things that were unheard of. Ownership for every employee, comprehensive health insurance over 20 years before the Affordable Care Act, free college tuition for every employee. All of these things steeped not in marketing or PR, but steeped in the understanding that we have to create opportunity for everyone. Now, we are living at a time, both at home and abroad, where the challenges are significant and acute. We have significant systemic issues, social issues in the country. And as a result of that, I feel so strongly that today, businesses and business leaders must understand that we are living at a time where the rules of engagement for a public company are very, very different than they've ever been, because we must pick up the slack and, unfortunately, the lack of responsibility of the political class. And what that means is that we must do more for our employees, more for the communities we serve, and regardless of the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, your ethnic background, your station in life, we want to welcome you as a customer, and we want to welcome you as an employee. And with that, we want to expand Starbucks all over the world. And as we expand from one country to the next, and we're almost up to 80, we want to carry that American flag to every country and every community, demonstrating the pride, the love, and the humanity, and most importantly, the values and character of dignity and respect which has built the United States of America. We have over 3,000 stores in China. We open a store every day. People ask me, how have you succeeded in China? We've succeeded in China in the same way we've succeeded in the United States, by asking our managers and our leaders to do one thing: exceed the expectations of our people so they can exceed the expectations of our customers, to demonstrate a deep sense of humility and respect in all the things we do. I want to go back to this crucible. There are a lot of important people in this room who have a great deal of influence on the future of our country and the future of our world. In my view, as a private citizen who travels the world, perhaps more than many of you here, there are real questions and real concerns and real doubts about the strength and conviction and moral courage of the United States of America. The Atlantic Council stands for relationship building, trust and confidence among our allies. This is not a time for isolationism, for nationalism. This is a time, as we face this crucible, for cooperation. This is not a time to build walls. This is a time to build bridges. Over the course of the last year, I wanted to do a number of things that would give me exposure to the human condition here at home and abroad. I wanted to understand the opioid crisis. I wanted to go to the southern border in Texas and understand the immigration issues. I wanted to go to Gettysburg, and I wanted to go to Normandy. It was in Normandy that something happened that I want to share with you. I had never been there. I didn't know what to expect. And unlike Auschwitz, we couldn't get enough of it. We couldn't get enough of the love and respect that the people in Normandy have for America and how they hold us so close to their heart. But it was in the cemetery that really, really moved me. I was walking and walking, couldn't believe I believe, over 9,000 headstones. About 150 yards away from where I was standing at the time, way, way off to the distance, I could see a man, didn't know exactly what he was doing, but he was isolated, and I just started walking towards him. The closer I got, the first thing I noticed, he was wearing a uniform as an employee of the cemetery. And then I got to about 10 yards, and he was on his knees with a scrub brush. I kneeled down. He did not speak a word of English, and he was washing with great, great respect and honor the headstone, one by one. And I kneeled down and I said, "Thank you. Thank you so much." And he stood up, no English, and he said, "No, we thank you." I started with a stone to remind us of who we once were and who I believe we still are. And I finished with the headstone of a Frenchman on his knees, scrubbing the headstone of a fallen warrior out of respect for who we are. Who we are. And I think the call to action for all of us is to understand that we are a country that is not entitled to our success. We have to earn it. And it's been earned many, many times by people who have come before us. And we have an awesome responsibility not to be desensitized by the time we are living in, not to accept the status quo of a lack of dignity and a lack of respect, but to rise above it and to do all we can, like the man kneeling in Normandy, to once again respect and honor the history, the tradition, the valor, the bravery, and most importantly, the love of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you.